Anthony Grassi for D3 Ticker here at the 2025 NCAA Convention. Happy to sit down for another small college conversation with Rhodes College Director of Athletics, Jim Duncan. Jim, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Welcome to Tennessee.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. So I want to start with the culture of champions.
Yeah.
I'm curious how you would define it as it started and how it has evolved over your time at Rhodes.
Yeah, so this is my fourth year as AD. When I took the job, I did a listening tour basically with not only our coaches but mostly with our student athletes about what the student athlete experience was for them, what they wanted it to be, how we could impact that in a positive manner. And what I kept hearing from our athletes was winning was something that was a woven thread. And that I guess in the past winning wasn't as talked about or as much of a priority as the student athletes would like. So worked with SAC my first year and kind of got some more. And then in the Division III you want to win, but winning is more than just athletics.
Correct.
And so we sat down and said, okay, what are the three components of winning to us? And we came up at obviously academics is first, athletics and community. We say we want to win in all of those, and expectation is you graduate in 4 years with honors. When you walk across the stage, there's a championship banner somewhere on our campus of the team you played for, and we want you involved in as many campus activities as possible. It's been pretty remarkable how our student athletes have taken to that. We talk about it all the time. We talk about it in recruiting. It's kind of become the common thread among our 540 student athletes, and they take pride in it. We had 411 student athletes on the all-conference, all-academic team last year, which is 3.25 or higher. Obviously you're winning in the classroom there. Had 8 conference champions, and then 161 of our student athletes are in leadership roles on different campus committees and organizations. So, we always say it's hard. Doing those things individually is hard, and then when the expectation is that is what it means to be a Link student athlete, then takes a special young person. And that's what we're in the business for.
Has how you define it, or maybe some steps that you do to foster that culture, changed over time?
Yeah, I think probably the first year and a half we were really kind of so intent that we may have missed some. You get tunnel vision and oh wow, we missed this part. So I think it is more intuitive now and part of how we operate, but there are always our SAC VP is here, and he came in December and said, hey, I think we need to do this. I'm like, yeah, and it was just better communication from me, because there were some teams that you communicate through coaches. Sometimes that doesn't filter down, and I think I've built up a trust with our student athletes that they can come to me or our deputy AD and say, hey, can we try something new, or we need to do this. Open door policy is such a tired phrase, but that's how we try. The best part of my day is when a student athlete knocks on the door. Even if it's a problem, it's interaction. And we always want to have those positive interactions with our student athletes.
Are there things beyond having an open door policy that you and your staff have done to help create that trust with the student athletes?
I think for me, I go to everything.
Everything?
I went to 92 Rhodes games last year. How I can show our student athletes that they're cared about is for them, they're not looking for me, but for them to look up and see me stand on the sidelines or sitting in the, and I'm a fan, I'll be honest, I get stressed and chew my nails and I pace, and our president, our VP of development just laugh at me. But I can't tell you how many times students come to me and say, we know you're busy, but we really appreciate you being there. And I always try to give them little fist bump, pat on the back, win or lose, just you're out here giving your best for our institution, and I'm the leader of our department, so the very least I can do is come and support that.
Yeah, being present is definitely
It's
showing them that you care.
It's kind of my management style. I love culture, but why are we here? What are we going to do today to move the needle, and how are we going to be involved?
I'm curious if you've, received any feedback on. You mentioned you're a fan.
Yeah.
Being demonstrative isn't the right word, but being outward and expressive as a fan. Have you kind of got the reception from student athletes that you've talked to, like that showing that you're like all the way in? Because I imagine some individuals are probably a little more reserved. Because obviously, if you're, as all fans know, there are times that you can get a little more excited than others. And you have an obviously different perspective as serving as the AD as well.
Yeah.
So have you seen the impact from that or heard the impact of it?
I have, and from our athletes and our parents.
Really?
They are so thankful that somebody's there and cares. And Sewanee's our rival. Mm-hmm. We started playing Sewanee football in 1899, right? So it's a huge game. And last year at our place, we intercepted a pass, and I am running down the track behind the bench, and our recruiting coordinator put that in the recruiting film and just said, "Hey, if you don't think people care about you, this is our AD."
Yeah, I can imagine that a full-on sprint.
Yeah, and look, I'm not a sprinter. It wasn't a long sprint.
But again, it's showing that. It's living what you say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't say we're going to be involved, and we can't say we expect all this culture and for our student athletes to do everything we're asking them to do and sit behind our desk or go home at 5 o'clock or whatever. I mean, it's part of what we are and why we're all in the business. You hear the phrase all the time, "What's your why?" Well, for us, it's student athletes, and it's creating the best student athlete experience we can and making sure they feel loved and supported. It also makes it easier when we have to have the hard conversations, because I think our student athletes know we care and know we're involved. And obviously there are hard conversations that have to be had sometimes, and generally sometimes that'll go from coach, and sometimes it filters up. And thing I ask of our coaches is I just want to know things. I don't want to hear anything for the first time that I should have heard from you.
Right.
And they've been great. They've been great about it.
How do you, given the culture that you have in place, how do you evaluate coaches for hiring head coaches to fit?
Yeah, that's a hard one. Mm-hmm. With our we're pretty high academic school. Mm-hmm. It's a different type of athlete we're recruiting. The funnel's really small. That can be an athlete at our level and meet the academic requirements. So what we look for, especially when we're hiring a field hockey head coach in the process now, and what we're looking for there is people skills, communication. I think if you're interviewing for a head coaching position and your resume has been a coach for a while, I'm not as worried about the X's and O's and the tactical stuff. That is the coach's job. I don't sit in film sessions. Except for I'm a basketball guy, so I drive our basketball coaches crazy because I'll go and hey, why are we doing that? And they're like, get out of my office. But we want to make sure that a candidate fits in our building. And we call it the car wash, but we bring candidates in and they meet with all the head coaches, they meet with all the administrators, they meet with HR, we'll bring the development folks over, because I want everybody's input into what that hire looks like, because we don't just live in a vacuum in the athletic world. Our field hockey coach is going to be bringing 7 or 8 high quality student athletes every year, so she's a admissions director, or so that's a really long-winded question, but it's more people skills and the ability to kind of connect that would be first on the list, and then obviously you have the coaching experience and how you build the team and all that.
When you run through the car wash, what's the feedback mechanism for all the constituents involved? Because from what it sounds like, that's a lot of people, and
Yeah,
it's not
no.
easy for you to sit down with those people and say, hey, what do you think?
So we do the head coaches like all in the same room,
Okay.
and we'll give them an hour, and then the candidate will leave, and I'll get the feedback from them in the room.
Okay.
Because one of my things is trust. We all have to trust each other, and so I want to know kind of their thoughts immediately, and sometimes it's no, my gosh, no. And sometimes it's yes, don't screw this up. And then from administrators, the other people, it's just a quick email.
Okay.
Hey, what'd you think? Do they fit into the Rhodes culture? Do they fit into the Rhodes athletic culture? We let candidates kind of meet with the team. The team knows they're not going to hire the coach, but and I'll get their feedback. Sometimes, I get feedback and hire another coach, and it's like, well, you asked. I'm like, yeah, but I told, we're getting feedback from everyone. But I've liked the process. We've hired, I think, 4 head coaches, and I've liked the process because I think it gives everybody buy-in when that head coach walks in our building that they've already met them and they have kind of signed off on them to come into our family, which makes the mentorship and the kind of the coach-to-coach coaching, for lack of a better word, easier.
The challenge of if you're giving the student athletes on the team that you're hiring a head coach for, if you hire somebody different than what the team or the majority of the team recommend, what's your process for like communicating with them of, I understand, you mentioned some of it's trust, but that's not an easy thing,
No.
especially if it's directly for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that one was, and it was a really hard decision, and so that one was, we made the decision, and then I called the team in before we announced and just said, here was the process, here's where we are. Ultimately, it was my decision, and this is why I made the decision, and they asked some questions. That is the women's soccer team, for whatever reason, is probably the group that trusts me the most on campus. So I mean, and then a month in, after our new coach was there, the 2 captains came in and they just, knock on the door, stuck their head in and said, hey, all we wanted to say was great hire. And I'm like, okay. So, and I think they would have thought that regardless, but I think the respect that we gave them in communicating first,
For sure.
just kind of raises the bar a little.
Absolutely. I want to transition a little bit.
Yeah.
You guys were a first mover in the NIL space in Division III.
Sure.
I'm curious what the benefit you saw from being a first mover was and what you think the ceiling for NIL is at Rhodes College.
Yeah, I think, we got a lot of inquiries when it first came out from schools in the Division III landscape. We're kind of a guinea pig, and it's been great. It's obviously NIL world and our level is we don't have an $8 million quarterback.
Right. Yeah, we're different numbers, different scale.
Yeah. But it's for us. It's really twofold. It is some financial gain for student athletes, and we need to have the ability to say, look, you can you're paying tuition, and this is a way you can help offset some of that. And a lot of it has been kind of a way for our athletes to learn how to market themselves in an interview and the soft skills that you need, and just to be able to, if somebody says, hey, what are your strengths, then you're able to communicate that you're essentially interviewing for a job because you're getting paid for it. So I think, we've had some of our student athletes that have gone on and done internships with some of the companies that we have gotten through Mogul. So I think as of January the 1st, 139 of our student athletes had at least one kind of NIL deal through Mogul. We're always looking to bring new sponsors basically into the fold, into the Mogul fold, and that's part of the next steps for us. And I don't know, the ceiling is kind of what you make it, and I don't really ever deal in ceilings because we're competitive, and we're going to try to make that student athlete experience as great as we can. And I think the more we get our student athlete, we say, hey, look, you are working for this company. You need to I'm a I'm a fundraiser by trade, so I write 1 million handwritten notes, and you would be shocked these days what a handwritten note on just a note card means to people. So we ask our athletes to write just a thank you. I'm honored to be, supported by you. I think that goes a long way.
Absolutely. I'm curious. The SAA is going through some membership changes. Over the next 2 academic years, you'll have 1 member exit and 3 members join. Mm-hmm. What is the impact of those membership changes for Rhodes?
Well, I think, obviously with Trinity and Southwestern coming in, it's hugely positive. We're really excited about them coming in. They've been an affiliate member in football, mm-hmm. so we've had a relationship. But from a geographical standpoint, it broadens our base,
right.
Especially for us. Texas is a pretty key recruiting market, and now we have actually schools there. But what they bring also academically to the league is unbelievable. But yeah, I've been 84 years, and we've had a school close, and Hendrix is now returning to the SCAC, and then 2 schools coming in, and then Maryville coming in. It's a conversation we have a lot in the AD room about how we're going to assimilate everybody, because our geographical footprint is much bigger, mm-hmm. And what that means for travel budgets, and then not only that now, but what's next, because the Division III conference landscape is changing rapidly, and you want to be ahead of that and not behind, right?
Yeah.
So it's and I know you're talking to Stacy Ledoux later, but she's done a really good job of help guiding some of those conversations. And when people make inquiries, then she'll come to our executive team, and we'll at least have the conversation. Obviously, it's a presidential approval, but it's going to be interesting to see how some of the dominoes fall in the next probably 12 months,
especially in that region of the country.
It's a lot. There's a lot of movement. There have been days that I'm like, hey, what conference are they in?
There are plenty of folks at the D1 level who think that. The South, Midwest, Southwest area has seen a lot of the same.
Yeah, I turned the TV on the other night, and UCLA and Rutgers were playing. I was like, well, that's an interesting game, and then Absolutely. I was like, oh, that's a conference game.
Yeah. So I get your head on this. Another big picture item for Division III. This fall was the first fall using NPI as mm-hmm. the selection process. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, as you've gone through kind of 1 season of competition for the fall, how you think about changes that need to be made for next academic year to help to best position your programs for postseason success, and then beyond that, as maybe the dials may change in a couple of years or get tweaked, how you think about being nimble and with the changes that you want to make.
Yeah, I think nimbleness will be a key. Mm-hmm. I know our men's soccer team, we won our regular season title and lost in overtime in the conference final, so we didn't have the AQ, and we were 2 spots below.
Right.
So our men's soccer coach has kind of done all. But what it's done there is he's gotten far enough into the weeds that now it's a scheduling conversation for us.
Right.
And games that we thought maybe 2 years ago would be beneficial for us to go and travel and play weren't as beneficial maybe in the new system. And how do you tweak that so that you can be on the upper half of that cut list for an at-large. I think there are some scheduling things in there, some strength of scheduling that probably need to be tweaked a bit. I'm pretty happy with the formula so far in the fall sports. I think it gives you it's realistic, and you get human error sometimes in selection. And they do a fantastic job, but it's much easier for us to say, okay, we were 48th, right?
Yeah.
So we missed the cut by 3 or whatever. So the basketball will be another thing that we look at after mm-hmm. the season. I know our men's basketball coach is like, I don't understand this. And again, it's scheduling. And I think what it's going to do, and it's something that conferences are going to have a conversation about, is if you're all in the same conference and you're all striving for the same thing, then everybody needs to schedule accordingly. We're really aggressive, and my attitude, especially with our teams that are ready for that, is let's go play people. Let's find the best competition we can and go play people. But if you do that, you also have to have games that you're probably going to win. And so it's a delicate dance, because now you've got to figure out, okay, how's this going to affect if I go here, which is out of region, but I go here and it's in region. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's all stuff that will get figured out, or we will try to figure out.
Yeah, and when, it's like anything else. Once you think you got it figured out, something will change.
Well, as you mentioned, next year you will implement the changes that you believe will best position the program for this year. And then there's the potential that dial changes the year after. So
of course, yeah.
A lot of things,
and that's some of the fun about the job. Is
right.
You walk in every day and you never know what's going to go on. We had a young man. We do a shadow program with the local high school, and a young man came and spent 3 days with us, and he just shadowed me, and I took him to everything. And so we were having lunch on the Friday of his last day, and I'm like, all right, what's your takeaway? He's like, when does the athletics part of your job start? I'm like, So you want to be in athletic administration?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. A lot of things a lot of people don't understand.
Right.
Yeah, right. Well, Jim, again, I thank you for taking the time. I appreciate the insights.
Yeah.
We sit here at the NCAA Convention. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, great. Thank you.